Hi there, today we're going to be looking at stretches using a foam roller and tennis ball for the legs and the hip. Really good to do if you're training for events over the summer. Often it's difficult to find good stretches for the legs and the hip, particularly for the iliotibial band, which is a muscle that runs between the knee and the hip on the outside of the leg. It's very fibrous and difficult to stretch. Also, a small muscle called tensor fascia lata, which is found at the back of the front of the hip bone and below the crest of the hip, just on the side there. If there's tension and shortening in these muscles and a scar tissue build-up, maybe from past injuries, it means often in these muscles that it creates an imbalance at the pelvis, and also pain and discomfort in the lower back and the lateral sides of the knee. So today we're going to start off with the iliotibial band stretch. We're going to use a foam roller. We're going to place the foam roller just underneath the knee, just at the top of the knee, with the top leg over the bottom. We're going to take 20 seconds to roll, always from the knee up to the hip, very slowly. You can drop into the move if you want to add intensity to the move, or straighten the arms if you want to be a little lighter as you roll up. We want to do this 3 times and take 20 seconds to do it, both sides, so you're doing left and right. So very slowly, coming off just before the top of at the top of the ITB band, just before the hip. We go again, always coming off to go back on, because we want to take the blood back to the heart and move in that direction. We don't want to push the blood back down the veins by rolling back from the hip back down to the knee. So always coming off and rolling knee up. So 20 seconds, iliotibial band on the side. Once you finish that move, we then work with the vastus lateralis, which is a muscle, the lateral quad muscle between the front quad, rectus femoris, and the iliotibial band. So you're now on the diagonal, so you're not directly on the side anymore, on the diagonal, another 3 times, 20 seconds to roll from the knee, just above the knee, up to the top of the muscle, just below the hip. So you're using your arms to either come into the move and drop in, or straighten the arms to have a little bit less pressure. 3 times. Then the main body of the quadriceps, we're going to be face down now in prone position, and we're going to roll from the knee up to the top of the hip again, slowly. You might find there's a jump halfway along the muscle groups, and it's just the muscles coming together. If there is scar tissue and tension in any of the muscles, you can pause for a moment and then roll on through it, and you'll be realigning the muscle fibers. So very slowly, 20 seconds a time, 3 times. We then move on to our hamstrings at the back. So again, starting from the back of the knee, we lift up, quite a good one for working with our strengthening up our arms, and we take the roll 20 seconds from the knee to the hip. It's a bit like a massage therapist using their forearm and using that, massaging from the knee to the hip. So you're self-massaging the hamstrings. Once you get to the top, you go back to the knee, come off it, go back to the knee, start again, another 3 times. So when we finish that, we're going to start work with the ball. We're going to use the ball just on the glute maximus, the main muscle of the bottom. And we're going to roll about 5 times in each direction, 3 sections if you can. 5 in one direction, 5 in the other. approximately. It's up to you how many you do, but I would recommend 5 in each direction. You can drop into it, you can hold it for a moment, and then move on to the next point. So 3 positions, 3 areas of the muscle, and you're rolling again. Again, it's a bit like a massage therapist trigger pointing the area, so using their thumbs to drop into that specific point. And then maybe another area, that final third area, off to the side of the muscle group. You want to do it both sides, left and right, as you roll. And it's very good to release into the pelvis and the hip. Finally, we use the ball on the muscle that I talked about at the beginning, TFL, tensor fasciae lata, just on the corner of the hip. It's behind the front of the hip bone and drop down just off the crest of the hip. So we drop into that and we roll on that about 5 times each direction. And you can also trigger point it and hold on the muscle. Often what will happen is one side is a lot more uncomfortable than the other. One side will be locked more than the other. If we release this, it will really level up the pelvis. It's like the key to unlocking the pelvis and the hip, I find, this tiny little muscle. And if you release it, it will really help balance up the hips and the pelvis. So that's us today. If you have any questions and would like to know more about the exercises or join one of the classes, get in touch with me, Jane Hamilton, at hello@janehamilton.co.uk, and happy stretching.